When you think of an authoritarian leader, you picture some power-mad autocrat working feverishly to defend his own regime. You think of Nicolae Ceausescu pacing his study, plotting diabolical new ways to smash the latest peasant revolt. And that's right, but it's not the full picture. Reality is more complicated than that. Fascism is a style of government, but it's also a form of religion. So the goal isn't simply to make you obey, the goal is to convert you. Before he executed his political rivals, Stalin forced victims to profess their love for him and for the Soviet state. He staged a kind of religious ritual. Stalin claimed to be an atheist, but he was in fact closer to a kind of secular Ayatollah. Why are we telling you this? Because you're seeing the same impulses at work now, here in this country. It wasn't enough for Democrats to win control of the entire federal government in November. They got the power they wanted, but it did not satisfy them. They barely paused to celebrate. In fact, they seemed angrier. Why? Here's why. Because there were still Americans out there who disagreed with them. And thinking about that made it hard for them to sleep. It agitated them. And the numbers show it. According to one new survey, the single most pressing issue for Democratic voters right now is the existence of Trump voters. Not inflation, not drug ODs, not the teetering national economy, not even global warming. It's people who don't share their views. Democrats believe they're the real threat. It's amazing how disconnected from reality this is. There aren't that many Americans left who dare to disobey the emerging techno-state. The few who remain have never had less power than they have now. At this point, the pockets of resistance to corporate conformity are scattered and diffuse. They're gun shop owners and commercial fishermen at sea, a few free-thinking families living in outer suburbs 30 miles from the city, 3 guys on a smoke break behind a transmission shop in Bangor, a non-compliant waitress in Brooklyn. In other words, the least powerful people in our society. You don't see people like that on television very often, but they do exist, and Democrats know they exist. So they won't rest until every last one of them, every last apostate, has embraced the one true faith, by force if necessary. Democrats definitely want new laws, but more than that, they want their catechism repeated back to them by the entire population. And that's why they spend so much energy, a stunning amount of energy if you think about it, trying to police speech. They care what you think even more than they care about what you do. They need you to agree with them. So they force you to mouth their slogans. Diversity is our strength. Climate change is an existential threat. The riot at the Capitol was a white supremacist insurrection. The more absurd the claim is, the more hysterically they demand that you repeat it. At the moment, Democrats are completely fixated on forcing you to agree that, yes, January 6th was a racist event. And it's been fascinating to see who in America complies with this demand to say that out loud. In a speech this week, Republican Congresswoman Liz Cheney of Wyoming decided to obey. Here she is talking about the riot at the Capitol. Watch.
It's very important for us to ignore the temptation to look away. And it's very important, especially for us as Republicans, to make clear that we aren't the party of white supremacy.
Oh, so it's very important, she says, to make it clear that as Republicans, we are not the party of white supremacy. Okay, but who claims otherwise? Who's saying the Republican Party is the party of white supremacy? It's the corporate party, sure. It's the embarrassing party, often. It's the stupid party, definitely. But the white supremacy party? Only Democrats and their propagandists in the media say that, and now Liz Cheney. Because some guy brought a Confederate flag to a rally. It's strange. When Jeffrey Epstein got arrested, you didn't see Adam Schiff giving defensive-sounding speeches about how we've really got to make absolutely certain no one thinks we're the party of child molesters. Right. Schiff never even considered giving that speech. No Democrat did. Democrats don't reflexively parrot the slurs of their enemies. They don't hate themselves. They're not morons. Liz Cheney isn't a moron. She's smart. Her self-regard seems fully intact, too, so it's not like she hates herself. More likely, Liz Cheney just knows what she needs to say in order to get what she wants. What Liz Cheney wants is an expanded American military presence around the world, more wars in the Middle East. Cheney is sincere about this. It's not a pose. She is a genuine, old-fashioned neocon, an ideologue who means every word she says about killing people in faraway places. She's not kidding. In order to get those new wars, Cheney can't stray too far from the rest of the war lobby in Washington. She's long been close to Bill Kristol. She made certain to smirk at Donald Trump when he said, pull the troops out of Afghanistan. This summer, Cheney was quick to denounce the, quote, horrific murder of George Floyd long before anyone could really say whether it was a horrific murder or a fentanyl OD. But Liz Cheney didn't wait for the facts to emerge. She dutifully read the script, and she's still reading the script. Here's Liz Cheney suggesting that any news organization that aired questions about election fraud, presumably including this channel, bears moral responsibility for the Capitol riot of January 6th. And that's why, Liz Cheney says, we're going to need a, quote, 9/11 style commission to get to the bottom of it all. Because really, people, January 6th was a lot like 9/11. Thousands dead.
I think that, any media organization that was perpetuating the notion continues to perpetuate the notion that the election was fraudulent or was stolen, is contributing to a very dangerous set of circumstances. And I think the American people need to know the truth about what happened.
Oh, the American people need to know the truth about what happened. Well, yes, they do. We agree with that completely.